Recording. Okay, now we're gonna show how to manage approvers via the API. And in this organization we have set up the approval structure based on dimension. In this case it's called avdelning, the dimension we're using, it's department. And we're gonna fiddle with this one called 340, space and sanitation. And as we can see, we don't have any approvers at all on on this line. So we're going to jump over to Postman, and we're gonna add some approvers. And we're always using the person object when addressing approvers in this section. So either the internal ID or the external ID. And in this case, we're going to use the external ID since we are using these endpoints to address the organization with the external source ID. So this guy, Senor Raul, we're going to add him as an approver. So it's this endpoint that, it's going to the organization and the dimension, the ID of the dimension is, you can see it here, it's set here, it's called Aerodim department, and that's the external source ID of this dimension. And we see that we can set the value or the ID of this, in this case is 340 for this dimension, and on this particular value, as we saw here, 340, we're gonna add an approver. So we say that we want to add this person object. That's the most important thing. The second most important thing is the sort order. Sort order 0 means the first approver. So this column is sort order 0, and this is sort order 1 and sort order 2. That's how computers count, starting from 0. So we're gonna run this request, and we get an OK response, and we go back and refresh the UI, and we see that Senor Raul, he's added as our first approver. Awesome. So now we can also look at this other endpoint. It's a get endpoint that will list all the dimension values. We see that here's an empty, not an empty dimension, but an empty value that doesn't have any approvers. But this one was the one we worked with, the 340. And we see now that we have one approver, and it's on the first sort order level 0, and it's Senor Raul. So now we're going to fetch another user, another person, in this case Lisa Linda. I'm going to grab her external source ID. Boop. And head over to the put request and add her ID there. But we don't want her. We can of course, add her in the same place as Senor Raul, but we want to have her as the second approver instead. And we go back and refresh the UI. We see that Lisa Linda is the second approver of this approval chain. So what happens now? Senor Raul, he leaves the company, or he isn't supposed to be an approver anymore. So we're gonna remove him from the approval structure. So we go back here, and we see that we have 2 approvers on the 340 dimension, and we want to remove Raul. So we take his person external source ID and go back to the put request. And this is an array, so you can have multiple objects that you send in. And you see that we have this delete field. It has been false previously, and we're going to set that to true and make sure that well, he's not in the first one, he's in the first one, in the sort order 0 one. We'll send that request and go back to the UI and refresh. And we see that Senor Raul is gone. And Lisa Linda, so this is a kind of backend functionality, since we cannot have an approver later down the stage or in the chain and have like empty slots here. So she's kind of moved to the first available slot here. So, and also if we go and list the dimension value and approvers list, we see that Lisa Linda is on the sort order 0 of 340 avdelningsdimension. Over and out.